Hi, and welcome to the tutorial for Vertex Light Shaders, a geometry node setup for Blender 4.1 and hopefully above. My name is Sean, but I also go by Itera. This is the first project in release by Patina Games. Quick pause. I'm doing my best to present this, but my brain and my mouth often fight. Thank you for your understanding as I'm not an actor. I am reading from a prepared script and as to not waste your time. This video is a tutorial for a setup that was made to bring vertex lighting back to the masses, at least in the newer versions of Blender. This project was initially started with the intent of making retro 3D content faster, but has since expanded into a general-purpose tool that can be used to light the background elements of regular scenes, trading a fair bit of GPU oomph for way less CPU oomph. I have made this setup to be intuitive with content creator usability in mind. That being said, you still need to know how to use Blender to effectively use this tool. The requirements to use this tool are as follows. 1. You need to be comfortable using the modifier stack and pointing it to things, collections, and, well, things. You do not need to know how to use geometry nodes or how they work to use this, or touch any of the underlying node work. This is all through modifiers and all of that. 2. You need to be familiar with collections and be aware of where you are placing lights. If they are in the wrong collection, then the wrong items or no items may be lit up. 3. You need to know how to add and manage color attributes. I cannot automate this process entirely from the asset browser. And if you want to use any extended features of this setup, this is a must. 4. You do not need to know the in-depths of how material shaders work, but it would really help. I have included a few basic materials that mix the vertex colors with the user texture, but for real use case, you would be incorporating these vertex color attributes into your own shaders. That's where the real flexibility and power of this tool comes from. Now for the features. 1. A user-friendly workflow designed around collections, modifiers, and adding lights from the asset browser. 2. Unlimited lights and light groups, all based off how much your computer can handle, but no arbitrary limits otherwise. 3. Multiple light types, from point to spot with realistic and retro falloff, and even a box fill and an environment noise. 4. Simple light effects, from highlights to noise to simple shadows based off of the geometry normals. 5. Color attribute mixing to allow for base color, highlight, and shadow layers to complement existing vertex painting workflows. 6. The ability to bake color attributes for export content by applying the modifier. 7. Example material shaders for simple retro fake lighting mixing to a diffuse shader that allows you to use vertex lights with regular lights in both Eevee and cycles. Bonus 1, an underlying node structure that recreates a shader-like workspace similar to how regular cycles light shaders work. Feel free to poke around. Bonus 2, I found out that you can get real-time reflections and cycles, if your PC is good enough, with one sample and everything turned down in light paths. So something to experiment with. Let's get started. Alright, now to install the setup, I'm going to assume you've already downloaded the folder and unzipped it. You should have a folder that says Vertex Light Shaders, and you need to file it away wherever you store your assets normally. Now, if you store everything just in your own user library, you could technically just drag all the contents of this, or just the blend file inside it, inside your asset library. Nothing's going to be sorted. So what I want you to do, if you haven't already, make a folder that you store downloaded assets. I've already done this, but I'm just going to say, like, even in your documents, make a folder, maybe call it Blender Assets, or however you want to store these. It doesn't matter. But what you're going to do, once you've stored that away, you go to Edit, Preferences, down here to file paths, and then asset libraries. I already have a couple of assets already set up. I'm going to press the plus. This is the folder that I store a lot of my assets, or going to be. I need to reorganize. So I've already put Vertex Light shaders here. I'm going to double click to go into it. I'm going to do Add Asset Library. Now it shows up in the list. I'm going to do Save Preferences so I don't have to do this every single time I open up Blender. Then I'm going to close. Now if you've never used the asset library, I'm going to bring up the timeline. You can do this on any panel, but I'm just going to do the timeline. I'm going to hit this little drop down, and under Data, I'm going to go to Asset Browser. Now, right now, I can either hit this and go from all to Vertex Light shaders, or under all, I can just scroll down to this, and I can hit the caret, and here is the basic thing. You can get any of these and you can drag them into your scene. These are the main lights, and then I also have a sample mirror and a sample scene, and then here's the node groups and materials. But the only thing in this one that you might be doing is the main node group and the materials. All right. As a quick start, let's get rid of everything in the scene. And if you just want to play around with a working scene, you can get the test scene, drag it in, and it should show up under Material Preview. It should show up under this one too if you set it to Attribute. All of these lights are dynamic. And the test scene also has a little animation. All of these lights are under VLS light group. Any lights that you drag in will only show on this if they are in this group. This model has a modifier on it that has a pointer to this group, and this is also where you tell it what color attribute to output. By default, the shaders that I've made all use VLS underscore color attribute. It's down here. You can change this. You can also just use these color attributes how you would normally use it in any shader. You can have as many as you can have more than one modifier on this and have it point to a different color attribute. You can basically make like light groups with this. Each of these lights also has a modifier on it. So really all you should have to do is each lightable surface, you need to add the modifier to it, which I have that right here, the candle, or you can do the add, and then you know what? I don't know why it's not showing up in this. It was showing up before. But anyways, I've tried to put all of these things to work on just the asset browser. So, you know what? Let's do that. Let's make a new scene. I'm going to get rid of everything. Let's make a grid. Oops. Apply all transforms to apply the scale, and then go into it. Let's make a monkey head. I'm going to use one of the test materials, the diffuse lighting material. So this one will light up with normal lights, and it'll also light up with the scene light, or the vertex lights. I'm going to also drag on the modifier. Under the output, you can use whatever you want, but I'm going to use the one I already set up, VLS color attribute. I need to go into the data tab, down here the green one, go to color attributes, and I'm going to add VLS color attribute. Now, For most people, leaving it on vertex is fine. If you know what face corner is and how you can use that, if that works for you, great. This should work the same. That's usually what I do. But again, regular vertex should be fine. The one that you really need to watch for, though, is color versus byte color. Color will let you set the light power above 1. Byte color is just a range from 0 to 1. So I'm going to leave it on color. Like that. Now, you also need to make sure, so I already have the VLS light group. You can make whatever group you want. I'm going to leave it at that, but you need to make sure the light collection is pointed to whatever group of lights that you're going to be using. So now, let's add some lights. I'm going to go up here, select this so that when I drag things in from the asset browser, they get set in this light group. Let's add a box light for filling an area. Can move it around. This is one of the things though. So by default, I have this lit up. So if we select this, I'm going to make it completely. Why is that is getting lit by the environment. So for this tutorial, I'm going to go to the world tab. I'm going to set the world 0 for strength, and I'm going to turn that down. Go to the render preview, and I can hardly see my light anymore. This is something I was not able to figure out how to make a better fake empty. I wish I could use regular empties with geometry nodes. That's just not a thing, so these are fake empties. If you go down, or if you go up here to the right hand corner of the viewport display, click that. If you set wire color to object, they should light up bright purple so you can see them again. Or just go to your collection and you can select them. But these lights are all dynamic. They are based off the resolution of the light is based off of the geometry of your scene. And I have tried my best to make artist-friendly controls. To do all this stuff. I've also added some things like you can add noise. Let's make this unreasonably powerful so you can see it. There is a color noise for just breaking up your textures. Then there's also a a dark. Oop, that's not the right one. I have a camera in front of my face and I can hardly see the screen. Or it's not camera, microphone in front of the screen. So let's do color factor down. Dark contrast. So you should be able to again break up stuff. But let's get rid of that light. Let's add a realistic point light. Make sure again it's on the right one, and you can set it to whatever color you want. You can just duplicate them, that works. And then you can also scale. It doesn't really rotate with that, so let's make a spotlight. Let's make this one red. Oh, that's a retro one. That one is not going to show up very well with all of the realistic ones. There we go. Let's make this one red. All of these are based off of regular shader math. This is a shader workspace that's been recreated in geometry nodes. You could make a whole bunch of different lights, but these are the ones that I need for my projects. And if you have more lights that you'd like to add, feel free to add them, or maybe send me a message and maybe I'll add them and we can re-release it or put an updated one. But all of these work off of grab, scale, rotate. You can even do weird looking lights. And then they also have a shadow factor based off of the normals of the object. So on this one, if I go to coverage factor, right now it's at half. If I put it at 1, it's going to full bright through the thing. If I pull it back, it's almost going to be like a specular highlight. Speaking of which, let's set that back to 0.5. There is a highlight, which it looks like this light is bugged. So this is still the beta, and it's good I found that bug. I'm going to re-add that. Let's get a light that doesn't have that bug. Let me put that to the side, because after this, I'm going to go fix that. Let's add let's actually grab this one. There it goes. Enable highlight. So if we enable the highlight, we just made a dark spot. So you can do some funky effects, and you can change how much this one covers up to half. Most, if not all, of these lights also have the noise, but the noise only works on the normal color coverage. I wanted to keep the highlight separate. There's an almost infinite there probably is an infinite possibility of lights that you could make with this, but right now all of this is working within the confines of geometry nodes. Now, let's see. Some of the features on the material. Right now, okay, so this is also made to work into existing Vertex color painting. That's what these are. They're already set to default. Like, if you don't want to use this, don't even worry about it. If you come over here to the little spreadsheet looking thing, you can put in other color attributes. And let me go to there. Let's do a... Oops, I have caps locks on. Lighten. And lighten is going to start at black and go to white. And then darken is going to start at white. Go to dark. So now if I go back here, why is that not showing up? Okay, so it's just my drop down isn't working right now. So now I could go into, let's go into texture painting. Switch from texture painting to vertex painting. Go down here, let's select the lighten. I'm going to change it to the render preview. And then if I paint, this will override whatever I am doing with the lights, just like how you would do normal texture painting. Now if I switch it to darken, and I set that to dark, it's going to override whatever I'm doing on the dark. Again, all of this is dynamic. And then if you already have painted vertex colors, you can use the environment color. Same deal, where you can just type in whatever the color attribute it is, or you can just set an environment color per material. along with a power intensity for it. Now for the materials, I've included 2 materials and 2 shader node groups in this that should give you a good idea of how these shaders work. For classic workflows, really all you're doing is you're getting the color attribute and you're multiplying it either with a vector multiply or the color mix multiply with the factor all the way to 1. That will give you a flat shaded where the lights in the scene are where the light comes, or the fake lights that I made in the scene are where the lights come from. And I have also spent some time making a let's turn off the previews, making a basic diffuse shader, which is what I've been showing in this. Let's actually show that working. Let's make a spotlight, go to the light, turn it up. Does work. Does mix with the existing. And these lights only really, from what I have tested on my own computer, it looks like geometry nodes when something outputs to color attributes, it only really updates and computes those nodes if the light moves or the scene moves. By the way, you can grab, scale, rotate the scene. Everything should still work. Once you've set up the node group or the modifier on your object you want to be lit, again, you should just be able to go to the asset browser. You can drag the diffuse material, or like here's the one where this is only the lights from the Vertex color shaders. Once you're done with that, you can come here and you can change the texture to whatever texture you want. And if you have more than one color attribute for like light groups, you can set the color attribute here, or you can again just make your own shader. Something neat that I found while I was making this. Now, this one really depends on if your computer is powerful enough, but if you set the rendering engine to cycles, set mine to GPU compute. Let's set the viewport sample to 1, and also the render sample can also just be 1. And then under light paths, just turn everything down to 0. I have added a mirror sample. This is closer to rendering in Eevee, but you can get real-time reflections with like no noise. If you do turn off denoise, there will be a tiny bit of noise, but like if you're just doing retro stuff, this is pretty neat. A gotcha that I've found also in this for troubleshooting, if lights are not showing up right, again, make sure they are in the proper group. Also, if you accidentally put your scene to be lit inside the group, it's just not going to work. Thank you everyone who's shown interest in this project. It was an experience noting this up and debugging it. There were some times where I just about gave up, but I want to attribute my God for showing me the answers while letting me struggle enough to learn. You might call me crazy, but it's wild to see arrows moving in your head while you're eating breakfast or being confused about order of operations and them being laid out in your head like a slideshow right before taking a nap. I've prayed about this project and have been instructed to release it for free and only ask that you give me attribution, but it wouldn't be right to charge money for it. So I'm sharing it. All I ask is that you mention me in the credits or special thanks if this is used for a commercial project, and send me an email so I can add it to my portfolio over at Patina Games. But that website is still under construction. Thanks, y'all, for your interest, and I'm excited to see all the neat art that people make.